Welcome, 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 everybody. We are here. Oh dear, something's happened to Gordo. We are here in Belgium, and it's a bit of a wet one to start the qualifying off here tonight. Unfortunately, as Miranov has left the session as well, then, goodness me, all sorts of things going on at the opening stages of qualifying here. But there we are. We have got ourselves ready to get going here in Belgium then. 16.5 minutes left on the clock then for qualifying then, and we'll get ourselves underway here in a very well, not a very nice Belgium Grand Prix as it stands then for the conditions, that is, but we'll have to wait and see how the race is going to unfold. Good luck all from R2B then. Alex the Goat then says Thunder, which is very nice indeed then. I am definitely not, but there we are then. Gordo said good luck then, and Nafas has said hello as well then, so good stuff indeed. Then we've got some supporters in the comments, and I think they're supporting Kian then, who has stepped into the kicks album tonight then. We've got quite a few reserves on the grid then for silver tonight. Unfortunately, a few birthdays and a few anniversaries falling on the same week then, so they're missing the famous Spa-Francorchamps circuit here tonight, but nonetheless we will have to get through it without them. But we have got I think we've got Gamer then, we've got Gamer in the Red Bull, then we've got MHD in the other Red Bull. Nigel is not a reserve, sorry. Kian in the kick sour, then Arsha in the Mercedes, as is Justify as well, and then we have Miranov in the other Haas car. Then we've got his teammate of Mags then, who has joined the silver grid and looking to put on a show then for the Silver Stallions then tonight, then, as we set ourselves through the bus stop chicane then to start off the first flying lap then of the session. Good luck then for all the drivers here tonight. Then, of course, Gordo then is looking to... oh, dear. So, I thought that was something in the Discord then going on. But Mags then starting ourselves underway here through La Source, then into turn 1, the hairpin pretty much of the first turn of the circuit, then negotiating it nicely in the intermediate conditions. Then traction's going to be the difficult part to try and deal with in this qualifying unless it starts to dry up. Then wet compound tyres in the pit lane, though, for R2B, then in the Ferrari. Then he is thinking that it might be getting a bit heavier than in this qualifying session. We'll have to wait and see then what the situation is going to be like then for the weatherman. But there we are then, lots of drivers out on track then already, trying to get themselves through their outlaps here as well. Then into Lecom, then goes the Haas of Mags, then into the next part of the chicane, then very nicely done indeed, keeping it within track limits here as well. And now down the hill then towards this next, I can't remember the corner of this, the name of the corner I should say, then into the next right hander, then keeping it very tight on the apex there, and then into the corner of no name, which I can remember, as we go down the hill then towards Pouillon, then into sector 2, then very nicely done so far indeed for the Haas driver, then coming through Pouillon now as well, then on those intermediate compound tyres. Can they hold the grip then around this long left-hander? Then yes they can, very nicely done indeed. And now into the last chicane then of, well, not the last chicane, sorry, the penultimate chicane then of the circuit then, as we go through here. Again, very easy to lose the back end then, and Mags trying to keep that Haas under control then into sector 3 very shortly. And of course 23.9 then is the first sector 2 time. Then of course he's gone purple, then that is why he is the first man on track then on a flying lap here as we go down towards Blanchemont, well, up towards Blanchemont now, and heading into the final part of the lap then, the longest lap then on the calendar in terms of time, that is. But I think it's in terms of distance as well then, of course, as we go through into the bus stop chicane once again then for the final time then on his first flying lap then for Mags, then across the line. What's it going to be? And it is going to be a 40, 45, 54, 5 then. Goodness me, I can't get my 4s and 5s right. But there we go then, setting ourselves the precedent in qualifying here. Good stuff indeed. Then we've got, I think, an Aston Martin, but it's not an Aston Martin of Gordo because he is out of qualifying. I'm not sure. He might have to remind me then if he had a qualifying ban. Then here comes Jay Hings. Then Jay Hings up to the line. What's it going to be from Jay Hings? A 55.2 to put himself into P2. But Vessia goes faster with a 53.995. Then puts himself ahead of the Haas then into P1 as it stands. Nigel up into a 55.0. Then puts himself P3. Then we've had a bit of a snap then, I think, for one of the McLarens. I didn't quite see. Then Vanquish in the 55.4. Then so times tumbling in, a reflection of 56.2. Then there's starting to get some times on the board here, are they, in qualifying? So far so good then for most of the drivers then out on field. And we've got Sweet and Repeat crossing line 57.0 for him. I'm not quite sure that's a competitive time then from the Alpine driver. Then Mumford up into a 54.0, then puts himself onto the front row of the grid. Then here comes Mr. Elite then in the McLaren, and let's see what he can do then on his first attempt here in qualifying as well. Then up to the line, then it's going to be pretty good indeed. 54.8, then puts himself P4, then brilliant stuff indeed. Then yellow flags fluttering down the Kemmel Straight. Then Kydell's gone very deep then into the first part of the bus stop chicane, then not slowing the car down quickly enough then for the other McLaren. Then across the line, and it's going to be a 56.7, puts himself P9 for the time being as well then. Even it all says mushroom weather looks nice. Yeah, it looks pretty tasty, doesn't it? We'll have to wait and see if there's going to be some feedback then of what the weather's going to be doing then in the Grand Prix itself. But as Maranov has joined back then, which is good stuff indeed, and I think it's starting to dry out already, to be fair. It stopped raining out there. Here comes Arsha then to set his first time on the board. It's P1 then with a 53.8, then just a tenth of a second, over a tenth of a second ahead of Vessia. But I think the track has definitely dried out in between those times as well. Then Kian up into P5. Yeah, it definitely has dried out. There's soft compound tyres going on in the garages then, and I think that is just indicating that it's time to switch on to the dry compound now, or will be time to switch on to the dry compound now in the next few minutes or so. Then especially here comes the Red Bull of MHD. Then MHD is looking to get himself on pole position once again then in Silver. Of course, one of Silver's most veteran reserves, that is, because he has done a fantastic job then when he's put himself into the choice, into the mix, and he has done a great job then in his reserve appearances then in Silver. Then let's see what he can do then as he rounds the final corner then to set himself a 53, no, it's a 54.2, puts himself on the second row, then P4 for the Red Bull driver. Then where is his teammate then of Gamer? Gamer is coming through the bus stop chicane now, and let's see what his first time on the board is going to be then for the other Red Bull car. Then up to the line, and it's P1 with a 53.2 then for the Red Bull driver. Then good stuff indeed, both reserves looking pretty strong then for Red Bull as it stands. But of course track is definitely drying out now, so it's going to be changing now from the intermediate conditions to the dry conditions now, and I think we're going to see some drivers out on track already then on these soft compound tyres, which is pretty quick stuff indeed. Then Gordo not second time in qualifying, not quite sure what's happened to Gordo, but there we are. And yes, my goodness me, my stream is not working. There was that much better. Good stuff indeed. Right then, Justify's out on the track. Then he's on the soft compound tyres. The first man on the soft compound tyres taking to the track here tonight as well then. So he is doing a bit of a trial run, I think, in this qualifying session. There's still time actually to do about two runs then on the soft compound tyres. Medium compound tyres going on the kick salver of Nigel, it looks like. But I'm not quite sure if maybe he's just doing some testing then in the pit lane. But I think all these drivers who are still on intermediates then are going to be coming into the pit lane or switching from the intermediates to the dry compound tyres, or a dry compound tyre very soon. Both the Red Bulls coming back to the pits, as is Vessia. I think Vessia coming back to the... Well, he's actually improving on his time then. Is he going to try and do an intermediate compound time and set himself a spot on the grid then on the intermediates? Then he's having a bit of trouble then getting through Blanchimont then. He is finishing off his lap then, his Vessia, so he's going to go for broke then on the intermediate compound tyres. Then he's done a 51.8 then, which is fantastic. But of course, it is definitely a dry track now, I would hazard a guess, just by looking at it, that is. But of course, I'm not quite sure if DRS has been enabled yet. I haven't seen the pop-up just yet, but maybe the drivers have seen it already. So there we go then, into the pits then for the Red Bull cars. And we've got out laps then for most of the drivers then switching onto the soft compound tyres then. So Justify is going to be the first man on track then to set himself a flying lap on the soft compound. Then the Red Bull tyre then switching off from the green wall tyre, of course, with the treads as well then, and now on to the nice and bold red compound, which is very nice indeed, very quick indeed, of course, in the dry conditions, that is. But he's going to have to hope that it's dry enough then out there for the Mercedes car. As we head down towards La Source then, the first time potentially of the session then on the soft compound tyres. Lots of people pouring out of the pit lane there, and that's going to be a bit treacherous indeed then if they don't get themselves out of the way then of this speeding Mercedes then flying down the hill then towards Eau Rouge and Radion. DRS is enabled now, just as Justify needs it as well then along the Kemmel Straight then. Perfect timing then for the Mercedes driver then as we head down the Kemmel Straight now, and these cars ahead need to make sure they get out of the way then. This is going to get a bit dangerous indeed if they do not. Oh my goodness me, that was close. And oh my goodness me, that's even closer then. There's a Haas then just getting himself almost, I think that was Maranov then, almost getting himself in the way then of Justify, I think. But thankfully Justify escaped any incident there. Good stuff indeed. And now into the next right-hander coming down the hill now. This is where the brakes are going to really have to start working as you press the car down into the track and down the hill we go then into corner of No Name, and then heading down towards Pouillon as well. Justify then, I think he was purple in sector 1 then. Of course the soft compound tyre is going to be much better than the intermediate compound tyres in terms of pace and lap time. We'll have to wait and see see then what the rest of the time is going to be doing then. But Vessia then, Arsha then, and Nigel then are still. Nigel's on an outlap on intermediate compound tyres, so I'm not quite sure he's got the memo there. But nonetheless, never mind then for Nigel. I think hopefully he's going to come back to the pit lane and sort that out. Purple again in sector 2, sorry, for Justify is trying to keep control of the car going through into sector 3 as well there. Heading up the hill then towards Blanchimont now then, the Mercedes powering away. They're not using much ERS then for the Mercedes driver as we head into Blanchimont now, and heading out then towards the bus stop chicane. Then now he's got the ERS on, the overtake button has been engaged as we head into the bus stop chicane for the second time, sorry, for Justify on his flying laps, that is. And now into the up to the line, sorry, it's a 54.3, puts himself P6 then for Justify. Good stuff indeed then, up into the top 10 then for Justify, that is. Mags is cruising around then. I think Mags, has he got some sort of damage then? Yes, I think he's lost a right end plate there, has the Haas car, so I think he's coming back to the pit lane now to sort out that issue then. So that's that and done and dusted then for Mags. Kian then is on a lap, then we'll come back to him. The Mr. Elite is flying through Lecom then into the next part of the chicane. Where is the Williams of, not the Williams of Reflection, it's the Williams of Kamara Racer then coming through sector 3 now. Let's see what he can do then in his Williams car then. He's of course back from his holidays now, is Kamara Racer, so he's unfortunately missed the last 2 races, but is now going to be in prime position to put on a good result then here for the Williams team in Belgium tonight then, as we head through the bus stop chicane. Then this is his first attempt in qualifying, of course no intermediate run then to set a delta then for the Kamara Racer, but it's pole position with the 48.0 then from Kamara as it's stands. And brilliant stuff indeed. Then we've got Jay Hings coming across the line next, I think, but unfortunately Jay Hings has invalidated his time, so he's going to 46.8 then, would have put him comfortably on pole position then, but unfortunately has invalidated his time. Mumford, I think, coming back into the pit. No, it's not Mumford, it's his teammate of Sweden P coming back in the pit lane, unfortunately for Sweden P, abandoning that time as well then. Goodness me, all sorts of times tumbling in then, as we got where's Mr. Elite? Mr. Elite is through Blanchimont then, but he's gone very wide then. He somehow kept it within track limits. I think slowed the car down slightly enough then to not gain any time then over the curbs then, going through the bus stop chicane and coming back into the pit lane. He's got wing damage as well then for the McLaren. Here comes Kian up to the line. It's a 45.7, puts himself on pole position here as it stands then. Brilliant stuff indeed then from Kian, then of course reserving in the kick salver in place of Pot Stuff, so he's done a brilliant job then putting himself onto the top spot then. Arsha's gone back on intermediate compound tyres. Kaidel's up into P3 at his home Grand Prix. Reflection P2. Brilliant stuff indeed. Vanquish then up into P3, displacing Kaidel down to P4. Then it's still on the second row of the grid as it stands there with a 47.7, then 46.5 for Vanquish, then 45.9 for Reflection. R2 Beat's done a 45.9 as well. Then sorry, it's a 46.4 for Reflection. 45.9 for R2 Beat. Then here's a 10th or 2 tenths away then from Kian as it stands as we go down the hill then on the next attempt then. Where is the Williams of that's Kamara Racer, I think, coming back in the pit lane. So I think everyone filtering back through now, and the majority then are have not done a time on the dry compound tyres and waiting for it to dry out even more here. ALR says Equaz then, good evening to yourself Equaz, and similar weather to yesterday, says Equaz in the comment section. Of course it was a bit damp in the beginning of qualifying for Gold last night as well, which is a fantastic race indeed from Gold then in the 22 laps around here, but we'll have to see what Silver can offer up then in the next part of this session as well. Then Jay Hinks coming back in the pit lane then, bit of a difficult pit lane entry to try and negotiate around here, but yeah, fair play to those who managed to get themselves in and out of the pit lane there without any scratches, because it can be a bit dangerous, but there we go then into sector 2. We've just got a few drivers coming back into the pits, I think here, these 3 top 5 I should say, coming back to the pit lane now, and then hopefully they'll have time to go back out and go again then in this qualifying session. Then Arsha is on the intermediate compound tyre still, so I don't think it's going to be too competitive then in this qualifying. It's definitely now a dry track out there, so that's going to be pretty difficult on the intermediate compound tyres, trying to negotiate that, but there we go. Justify is back out very early on as well on the soft compound tyres, so soft compound tyres are the way to go then for the majority of these drivers. Then R2 Beat, is R2 Beat on another lap though? We'll have to wait and see. No, he's invalidated his lap then, so unfortunately coming back in the pit lane now. Will he have time to get himself back out and back around again is the question. but yeah, I'm not quite sure if they're going to have time because we can't see the timer now. 2.5 minutes then, so unfortunately I don't think they're going to have time. So R2 Beat and Vanquish I think are out of qualifying here, and that is them done and dusted in this session, and the track is only going to get drier as the qualifying timer ticks down as well then. So I'm not sure that's going to be in their favour. Then Arsha has actually got himself onto soft compound tyres, which is good news, and back out underway. So that's fantastic. Justify then is also on the soft compound tyres. Here's the first man on his out lap here. Potentially has the worst of the track conditions, although it doesn't look too difficult out there at the moment. The track is still probably drying out there quite substantially then. So unfortunately for Justify, I think he might have the dampest of the track then for the final attempt in qualifying here, but we'll have to figure out, we'll have to wait and see then how it's going to unfold then as we go through to start off a lap then for Justify once again then. Why does it say F1 2020 in the description? We're going back then in the description. I'm not quite sure what's going on in the description there. I can't see the description, Mushroom, so you're going to have to enlighten me. Kian can stay in silver, says Luke, then, and Agree says somebody else is retired, and that is Reflection in the pit lane then, so he's not going to be able to get himself back out in time then. Justify then coming through onto the Camel Straight now. And I don't think it's Vessia then going through into Lecom then. I don't think Vessia is going to have time. R2 Beat's definitely not going to have time as he's just going through Eau Rouge and Rally on then. And Kian is having a bit of a problem then going through the corner of No Name. So there we are. Right then, where is Justify then? Justify coming through. Actually, hang on a minute. Kaido is miles ahead then. Where is Kaido? Kaido crossing the line. Kaido's going to cross the line here and go up to P1 then with a 45.4 for Kaido at his home Grand Prix. That's pretty good stuff indeed then for Kaido. Kamara Race is just starting a lap then, so he has just started a lap then. We'll have to come back to him. Justify, I think, is next to cross the line in anger. Is he? Yes, I think he is. But unfortunately, I think there's going to be quite a few people that have not got their timing sheets correct then, not got the situation correct as well. Then as we go through into sector 3 for Justify, and unfortunately going to miss out then on doing another lap in this qualifying session. Then I believe I can't see the timer because the yellow flags are fluttering. There's 19 seconds left in this session, and there's all sorts of action then behind Justify. Then all these cars trying to fly through then and get to the start finish line. There's only a Ferrari behind us of Vessia, I think it is, but I think everyone behind Vessia is not going to be able to make it. I don't think Vessia is going to be able to make it. Then here comes Justify across the line. What's Justify going to do then for his final run? Then it's pole position for Justify with a 44.782. Then R2 Beat doesn't make it. Then Vanquish doesn't make it. Then Vessia doesn't make it. X Gamer doesn't make it. Then and Farf doesn't set a time then in this session. Then Justify on pole position as it stands. Brilliant stuff indeed. Then Kian, can he take it away? Then he's going to get a nice slipstream down the Camel Straight then from that Haas there ahead of us. But the Haas I think is on a lap as well then. Mumford goes fastest with the 42.6, then takes away that pole position. Then brilliant stuff indeed from Mumford. Of course, he's in a championship fight. Then Sweet P, P2. Then both the Alpines locking out the front row. Then 3 tenths behind. Goodness me, his teammate as it stands then. But here comes Miranov then up into P3. Then all the times tumbling in now at this end of the session. MHD with a 42.3. Then takes pole position away then from the Alpine drivers. Then there's going to be more action to come then as we cross the line. Then here comes Kamara Race. So he's invalidated this time. That is not the time you want to invalidate because, of course, you would be able to improve massively then on your previous lap. Then Kaido, then where is Kaido? Is he going to go for another lap then? Well, he's trying to finish off another lap I think then, but he's coming back into the pits. No, he's not. He's still going then is Kaido, but unfortunately I think that's qualifying done and dusted for him. Where is Nigel? Then Nigel needs to cross the line then into the bus stop chicane then for the kick out, and then let's see what it's going to be then from the green machine as we cross the line now for Nigel. Then is it going to be pole position? It's P5 then. There's a Mercedes of Arsha up into P2 then onto the front row of the grid then for his first reserve appearance. Then here comes Jay Hings. Where is Jay Hings going to be? He's not going to be. He's P18, unfortunately for him. There's Mags. Then Mags next across the line for the Haas car. Then it's P7 for him. Then, but he's been displaced. Then as Kian jumps up to P3. Brilliant stuff indeed. Then, and where is Mr. Elite? Then in all of this as well. Then Mr. Elite coming back into the pit lane. He's got wing damage in on the right hand side, and that is his qualifying done and dusted here. Goodness me, what an end to qualifying then in silver tonight. Then it's been an epic shootout, almost a one-shot qualifying in the end there as well. Then with the dry track then coming in then and the soft compound tyres going on. Then what a mix-up then in the qualifying order as well. Then we're going to have quite a few choppings and changes I think in the first few laps of this Grand Prix as well. Vessi said missed out then on crossing the line. Then so yes, unfortunately, there was quite a handful of people who missed out crossing the line. Gamer as well. Then Vessia, Kamara Racer I think missed the line. Vanquish as well. Then R2 Beat definitely did as well in the other Ferrari. Then I think R2 Beat was the first man to miss the line just by a few nanoseconds there as well. Then MHD then your pole sitter then for the Belgian Grand Prix. Then that's not ideal, says Gamer. Then come on, says Nafas. Then pole position for MHD then, and we've got Arsha then P2. Kian P3, Mumford P4, Sweden P5, then Miranov P6, Nigel P7, Mags P8, Justify P9, Kydell rounds off the top 10, then R2 Beat didn't get a final time in P11, then Reflection P12, Vanquish the same, P13, Kamara Racer P14, Vessia then is P15 on the intermediate compound tyre, same for Gamer and same for Mr. Elite and Jay Hings. Gordo and Farth didn't get a time on the board at all in this qualifying session, so goodness me. Well, I need a breather already then, so I'll come back then after a short word from our lovely sponsors. Right, then away we go then for the formation lap then, and there we are then. We've got quite a bit of a strategy mix-up then, or not really. We've only got hards, not hards, we've got mediums and softs on the cars then, fitted for the start of this Grand Prix. Then 22 laps around Spa-Francorchamps to come up here in Silver tonight then, and of course it looks nice and sunny out there now, which is nice. So it looks like a nice dry start, a very international grid, says Equaz then. Of course, very multicultural is ALR as usual, so we welcome all creeds and all types and all sorts of, I don't know, whatever country you want to be from. I mean, Ginger Age has got the Barbados flag, but I don't think he's from Barbados actually. I'm not quite sure, I haven't checked. But there we go. There we are then. MHD then from pole position, then starting on the medium compact tyres. Then we've got Arsha and Kian on the soft compact tyres for the start of this Grand Prix. Mumford in P4, then splitting the strategy from his teammate. Then Mumford on the medium compact tyres in P4, Sweet European, the other Alpine on the soft compact tyres. Miranov in P6 on the softs as well. Then Nigel and Mags then opting for the medium compact tyres P7 and P8 respectively there as well. Then Justify and Kydell rounding off the top 10 soft compact tyres then for the Mercedes and the McLaren as well then. R2 Beat P11 and soft compact tyres for him in the Ferrari. Then Reflection medium compact tyres in the Williams, as is as is his teammate then Kamara in P14, but in between them is Vanquish then on the soft compact tyres in the Racing Bull. Vessia soft compact tyres P15, Gamer on the mediums in P16, Mr. Elite soft compact tyres P17. Kamara and Vanquish have come together there, so they've been disqualified. Then Mr. Elite P17 on the softs, and Jay Hings and Gordo, both the Aston Martins, down the back of the field unfortunately, but opting for the medium compact tyres in the first stint of this Grand Prix. And Farth, who is having a bit of a problem there, just about caught that, is down in P20 after not setting a time in qualifying. He's starting on the soft compact tyres then to begin this Grand Prix. Brilliant stuff indeed. The leaders already lining up on the grid then, as the rest of the field coming through Blanchimont now. So it's going to be quite a wait then for them to get themselves lined up and ready to go. But here we are then. Good luck all then to Sirius Mushroom. Then evening from Rocket Lee as well. Then better rain early for the soft runners then, says Mushroom. Then forecast says no rain at all, says Gordo. Then Ginger would melt in Barbados. There we go then. That is your summary of the comment section. But we have got some racing to come here then. Here comes 22 laps then around the Belgian Grand Prix. 5 red lights coming on here in Belgium then. The 5 red lights are on. The 5 red lights are off in Belgium. And away we go then for Spa-Francorchamps then in Silver Season 8 then. Good start indeed from MHD, but Arsha on the soft compact tyres trying to go around the outside there as we head into the first turn. Then this is where it gets... Oh dear, I've got the wrong telemetry up. Goodness me. Sorry. Bear with me 1 second. There we go. It's all right. There we've got it sorted. Right then, Arsha then holds place, so does Kian as well. Then Mumford in P4, both Hasses have made a move up into P5 and P6 respectively. Nigel then stays P7. Sweet's had a problem then on the first lap then. He's not got any damage as far as I can tell. Then Arsha's taken the Grand Prix lead, then heading in towards the Lacombe chicane. He's got the move then on the soft compound tyres. Then Mercedes then definitely not struggling. Then he's powering away then in the lead of this Grand Prix. Yellow flags for R2B at the back of the field, and unfortunately for R2B is coming proper then into the Lacombe chicane. Kamara races down 5 places as well. Then unfortunately for the Williams car, he's got wing damage then on the right end plate. Jay Hings has held station, then Vanquish down 4 places, Reflection down 4 places. Then goodness me, there's all sorts of action going on down the back of the field, and I think there might be some wing damage there for most of the drivers as well. Then unfortunately for those who have been battling then very hard on this opening lap then, as we head through into sector 2 now. My goodness me, it's been absolutely epic then, this qualifying now into this first lap of this Grand Prix. It's been absolutely unfathomable then, as here comes Kia then trying to line up a move for P2, then he's trying to get himself past MHD, then MHD's dropping back, then Mumford trying to go for the move as well, then round down the inside I should say, then into sector 3 we go then, but Mumford holds station for the time being. Then he's right behind that Red Bull diffuser as well, as we go through Blanchimont now for the first time. Then 22 laps to go then as we end this one as well here, and brilliant stuff indeed then as we head into the bus stop again. There's contact there as well then, goodness me, and oh my god, then there's all sorts of anarchy then. There's the Hasses I think are coming together. There's MHD dropping down the field. Where is MHD going? MHD's off the circuit then from P1 down to P16 at the end of the first lap. Then Kamara races in the pit lane. R2B carries on then. I think R2B's got some damage as well then, but he's still shouldering on out there as well then as it stands. Mr. Elite's got himself past Sweet P then into a P9. There's all sorts of I thought there's a bit of a jump then, but I think it's okay then. Goodness me, I thought the McLaren and the Alpine were going to come together there, but no such incident of course then, as round the outside into the Kemmel Straight then goes the Alpine of Sweet P, then passing the McLaren then of Kaidel. Then Mr. Elite's passing his teammate as well, then up into P9, then round the outside goes Gordo, then trying to hold on to the position. Now the Aston Martin has got himself through and up into the points pay positions. Then Farf and Kaidel then side by side. Then Kaidel's been a bit bullied then into the Lecombe chicane. Then around the outside now goes Gamer trying to get around the other Belgian driver. There's 2 Belgian drivers on the grid tonight. I completely forgot about Gamer being Belgian. There he is. He's got himself up into 12th. Then Mr. Elite has got himself lost out to Farf. Farf is on the soft compound tyre, then into Pouillon, and they're going to go side by side with Gordo then, and Gordo unfortunately has Gordo's held the pace then. Farf couldn't get himself through there, but there's all sorts of anarchy then. This is close racing indeed then through into sector 2, and this is I think the closest we've seen the field on the mid-pack I should say in silver so far this season. It's been absolutely brilliant. This starts with the Grand Prix. Unfortunately you couldn't say that for MHD then, or for Kamara Racing, who've had to make some unscheduled unfortunately lost a few places then, or had to make some unscheduled stops. Then Mumford has passed Nigel then for P4, back up into P4, then Miranov then up into the podium places now on those soft compound tyres. We will find out what the tyre situation is then for the drivers. Then of course Mumford has held station then, but those three ahead of him are now on the soft compound tyres and trying to scamper off into the distance here, but of course they will drop off quicker than those soft compound tyres will drop off quicker than those on the medium compound tyre. Then Nigel was back past Mumford as he round the outside into turn 1, not quite I don't think, although traction then is going to be in the favour. Oh goodness me, I thought that Alpine was coming across then into La Source then. My goodness me, they've lost out then to the top 3, but now then the medium runners then are going to try and start battling between each other. Then are they going to try and work together to catch up to the top 3 then with some DRS games then, all the ERS lights flashing away then in the back of the on the back of the diffusers. Then Mags is going for a double move then on the Alpine of Sweet P then, and on Nigel then into Lecombe, and he's got the position then up into P4 now. Kian is leading Kiki says Luke. Then, well, I think like I said, there's all sorts of things that can go differently. Then in Grand Prix racing, we saw MHD starting on the medium compound tyres, then having a horrible first couple of laps then, and unfortunately has dropped down to the back of the field almost, with Kamara Racer having to make an unscheduled stop as well then, and hoping for a safety car or something in this Grand Prix as well then, as we head into sector 2 once again. Then Mags then has got himself up into P5, then Nigel has held on to P4, and I think Mags has had a problem there somewhere because he's lost out to the kick-saber that he did overtake down the Kemmel Straight as well then. Up above then we've got one more, less than a second then between Arsha and Kia. Miranov 2 seconds back then in the Haas then in P3. Then Nigel then trying to close in then on that podium place then, if he can, that is. Mags then is under pressure rather than looking forward. He's looking behind then with Mumford all over the back of the Haas then into Blanchimont now on lap 3. Sorry, Van Dada said Kian and Arsha then with some smiley face and heart emojis. Then yes, they are they're doing a pretty good job then out in front. Then these two, the Kick Sauber and the Mercedes, then controlling the pace. And as it stands in yellow flags, Kaidel's had an issue at the final corner. Then he's back underway quickly enough. Then Max and Mumford. Oh my God, what is going on there? And that was very interesting. But I think it was a glitch then, rather than that actually happening on our screens. So it's not under 18, over 18. It is just PG still, thankfully. But it seems like these two are having a few connection issues, let's just put it that way. But Mumford now up into P5 ahead of the Haas of Mags, then into Lecom once again, then Justify P7, but he's battling with the Alpine and Switcher P then as we go into Lecom. Now there's contact there as well, then Justify's gone spinning then, and unfortunately he's lost out massively then as well. There's lots and lots of other cars fly through, and unfortunately yeah, that was not going to work out in the favour of the Mercedes. I think that going side by side through Lecom, then usually ends in a driver, at least one driver, then ending up in that sort of situation. Unfortunately, Favre up into the top 10 now, has gained from P20 then into P10 as it stands in on the first 3.5 laps or so. Out in front, then the gap then still 0.8 of a second. Then Zakian holding off Arsha for the time being. Then Moranov not being able to catch up to the top two as it stands. Then Nigel then is in a battle then with the cars behind rather than looking forward. Unfortunately, he's losing time then to Moranov as well. Then on those soft compound tyres, the soft still the better tyre at this stage of the race, I would imagine. Then there's going to be a few more laps to go before they start dropping off then, and the mediums become the favourable tyre as well there. Reflection passing Mr. Elite side by side through Blanchemont, are they? No, oh my God, then that is definitely not how to do it, and unfortunately Reflection then has not been able to get themselves past the McLaren as we go through the bus stop chicane. Then single file then through here, please, people, and very nicely done indeed. Out in front then Arsha looking to try and get on the back then of that Kick Sauber, then trying to get himself some DRS then down the hill, then up the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Then there's yellow flags. Game has been passed by Favre, then Jay Hings and Reflection's had an issue then at La Source, it looks like, and back underway now for the Williams car. Then back underway then unfortunately for the Williams, but he's lost out to goodness me, there's a oh God, going side by side through there, and MHD has got himself through somehow stuck himself through. Then Swinterfield lost out to Gordo, then Gordo up into P7 then after a difficult qualifying, or not qualifying. Then Mags picks up the 3-second penalty. That's the first penalty of the evening from any driver so far as we go through into Lecom then on lap 5 here. It's been absolutely frantic pace then for the first 5 laps of this Grand Prix. Silver are really putting on a show here tonight then in Belgium, and I'm thinking that Spa is going to be very thankful about this as well. Then there's going to be some fantastic clips to come out of this one. So Luke, be ready. Kian doesn't belong in bronze, says Styles. Then Styles belongs in silver instead, then is what I'm going to say there, but brilliant stuff indeed. But yes, of course, well, if you want to fill the grids then myself, please do so, because we always need someone to do that for us. Mumford and Moranov's off the circuit then at the beginning of sector 3, then he's ghosted, and unfortunately not sure what happened, if there was contact between Moranov and Mumford there into sector 3 as we go through. Then Favre and Gamer have gone through and passing the Haas, then dropping down to P11, then dropping out of the points paying positions then is Moranov on the soft compound tyre, unfortunately for the Haas. And I'm not quite sure what happened there. Maybe he had a bit of a spin then, but unfortunately it's compromised his points-paying position then at the very least. He's trying to battle back there with Game, and then Kaidel's got a 3-second battle as well then, unfortunately for Kaidel, then down in P19. Justifies being passed by R2B. Has he? No, he hasn't. What is going on here then? He's all over the place then. He's Justified heading into La Source. Oh, Reflection locking up there and almost into the back of the Mercedes as we go through the first turn onto lap 6 now as well. Then Vanquish has passed Moranov as well. Then Moranov unfortunately dropping down the field after that incident or escapade into sector 3. Then Nigel up into the podium places. Then both the Kick Saubers looking strong here now as Nigel then up into P3. Then Justify and Reflection and R2 Beat are all battling away. Then Justify has lost out. He's not got any DRS then into Lecom then, and both the Ferrari and the Williams have gone through for P17 and 16 respectively. Then good stuff indeed. Then out in front, 3-second gap between Nigel and the top 2, but there's half a second separating Arsha from the leader of the Grand Prix here as we go through Pouillon on lap 6. Mumford then is 0.3 of a second behind Nigel. Then Mags has picked up a penalty then, but he's P5 and in the DRS range. Then Gordo coming through in P6 now. 300P then holding on the soft compound tyres. P7 Vessier on the soft as well. Then P8 Gamer's got himself past Farf there somewhere and up into P9, then Farf down to P10, then he's lost out the DRS then as it stands to the Red Bull of Gamer, then Mr. Elite now all over the back of the Racing Bull as we head into Sector 3. Good stuff indeed. Thank you very much, Styles. That'd be fantastic. Right then, as we head through up to Blanchimont once again, then on to the end of lap 6 now. Out in front, then we've got pressure being put on Nigel, then into the bus stop chicane, then by Mumford. Out in front though for Arsha and Kian, they are cruising off into the distance as it stands. Then the gap coming down though slightly now on the medium compound tyres. So I think we might start to see, we are starting to see some pit stops. Then Sweet in the pit lane, as is Fast, and calling it a day on the soft compound tyres at the beginning of lap 7. So very early on indeed here. Can they get the mediums to the end from here, or are they going to go onto the hard compound tyre? And we will wait and see. There's problems then for Vanquish. No, it's not Vanquish. It's for somebody else. They're all over the place there. There's a Racing Bull. That's Vanquish then. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Hard compound tyres for Farf then. Sweet Repeat then onto the medium compound tyres. Reflection picked up a penalty as well then. Gamer's got himself past Vessia then, and we've got more action. Jay Hings passing Mr. Elite then in the Aston Martin, then up into P9. And like I said, I think we're seeing the switch over now for the soft compound tyres now. We're seeing the mediums then kick in to be the favourable tyre here, and you can see the gap coming down then between the top two on the soft compound tyres and Mumford, a championship contender then in the Alpine, then trying to get that gap down then as quickly as possible. It's already down to 2 seconds. It was at 3 seconds a couple of laps ago then, so it's just showing the soft compound tyres are working wonders out there. Swindler picks up a penalty then on his out lap then, unfortunately on the medium compound then into into the corner of no name then, unfortunately. Right then. Good stuff indeed as we head through into Sector 3 on lap 7 then. It's been 7 laps of action-packed thrilling racing, to be fair, and unfortunately like I said, those who've got penalties then are going to be added on to their race time. That's going to be costly for them at the end of the Grand Prix if it's going to be this close at the end of the Grand Prix as well then. But they've done 7 laps of pretty close racing so far. Doesn't take away then from the next 15 or so then. That's probably going to be the same as we go through the bus stop chicane then once again then to finish off lap 7 then onto lap 8 now. The gap 1.8 seconds between Mumford and the top two. The gap is flying down now, and Mumford's medium compound tyres are definitely the tyre to be on. Then Mr. Elite is calling it a day. He's in pit lane now, calling it a day on the soft compound tyres, as is Moranov then from P11 and P12 respectively. Any more pit stop action then? R2 in the pit lane as well then. So 3 more pit stoppers I should say then, as we go through for Kaidel then up into P14. Then of course he's yet to pit in this Grand Prix as well then. Mr. Elite onto the hard compound tyres then, and away he goes then. So back into the race then. Where will he be? Behind Farf then, I think, slightly. Yes, he is just behind Farf then, as Farf has gone through La Source already and heading down the hill then towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Then RTB coming out on the medium compound tyres, so he's going to have to do 14 laps on those medium compound tyres. Reflection has passed Vanquish into P11 then for Reflection then, and of course he's on the medium compound tyre as well then, so I think that's just showing even more so that the soft compound tyre is not working as well as it used to be anymore. Then Nigel has overtaken Mumford. I completely missed it, but Nigel now is only 1.4 seconds away from P2 here as we go through Pouillon now as well. Then Nigel is going to be catching up to his teammate of Kian, who's been passed by Arsha as well. Then goodness me, I've missed both of the overtakes then for the top positions, and sorry about that. As we go through onto lap 8 then, Nigel then is going to be all over the back then of his teammate of Kian very quickly indeed. Then Mumford is having to say something, going to have to say something about that as well. Then I'm pretty sure the championship championship contender, I should say then, with Beast as well, not racing here tonight then. So both the Mercedes filled by the reserve drivers. Unfortunately for one reserve driver, it is not going their way. But as it stands, with the pit stop still to come then for Justify, but Arsha then leading the Grand Prix here as we head into the bus stop chicane once again. Then I think it's only going to be a lap or two. Or lap or so then. We've got Kian in the pit lane then, so Kian calling it a day then. He doesn't want to get caught by his teammate or by Mumford then with the DRS, that is, as we head through into La Source then. 2 seconds the gap then. Of course Arsha then was further along than in the Mercedes then, but those soft compound tyres I don't think they'll hold up for much longer in this Grand Prix. Kian then into the box then for the kick salve then, where he's going to come out then in respect to those who have already pitted as well. Vanquish into the box as well. Then Reflection carries on. Then Kaidel carries on as well. Justify then and Kian, where are they going to be on the exit of La Source? Then he is ahead of Justify. P11 then for Kian as he comes out then into a bit of clean air as well. Then Mumford has got himself past Nigel then into Lacombe. Then he's got a bit of a trio then forming then between these three here. It's Mumford then in the Alpine, Nigel in the Kick Sauber then, and Mags in the Haas as well. Then good stuff indeed so far. Come on, with Blobs in bronze, that's not very nice. So there we go. Kamara's actually done a good job, and he's caught up then on his after his unscheduled stop as well. Then perhaps Styles didn't see that, but unfortunately for Styles, Kamara doesn't give up then when he has a bad first lap, I should say. Then so he keeps on going, does Kamara Racer, which is fantastic to see. So something Styles can take out of his piggy bank, or whatever you want to call it, notebook, whichever one you want to say. There we are. Right then, Kamara Racers picked up a 3-second penalty, so our commentator cursed in there. That's fantastic. Mumford now 1.1 seconds away then from Archer. Then he's lost out, or Nigel's lost out to Mags as well. Then so Mags now up into a net, well, not a net because of course of his penalty then, but now Mumford then is on the charge then for that DRS then on the Mercedes driver as we head into the bus stop chicane once again then into the heavy braking zone then of the bus stop. Then Archer is calling it a day then on the soft compound tyres, and into the pit lane now. Mumford takes the lead of the Grand Prix. Mags goes through, as does Nigel as well. Then Gordo then up into P4 then from a very lowly start then on the back of the grid then for Gordo. Then he's up into P4 as it stands, but of course yet to pit in this Grand Prix. And of course the medium compound tyres we expect to go a few laps longer than the softs will be or have done in this Grand Prix. Vessier is also in the pits calling it a day on his soft compound tyres. Justifies carried on, as has Kydell though. So maybe they've just forgotten that they need to pit at some point in this race. We'll have to find out. Out of the pit lane there is Kian just ahead of Archer. Then of course these two are net race leaders, or were net race leaders. Coming out behind Reflection then, who is yet to stop then, is the Williams driver then, but I think it's going to be quite an easy pass then with some DRS then down towards the Lecom chicane as well. Once again then for Kian up into P8 now as well. Archer's gone through as well then, I think, then passing the Williams then into the chicane as well then, unfortunately for Reflection, losing 2 places down that straight with the aid of some DRS then for the drivers, well, just ahead of him now, but that previously were behind him of course. Right then out in front then, 1.6 seconds between Mags and Mumford. Then Mags has lost out to the DRS then of the championship contender then of Mumford then, who of course is battling with Beast in the championship then to regain some big points then on his championship rival. Then of course Beast not racing here tonight. Nigel then all over the back of Mags then into sector 3 on lap 10 here. Gamer then has done a good job then, he's holding on to Gordo then into P5. MHD's done a good job of recovering up into P6. Then Mags has been passed by Nigel then into towards or before Blanchimont, and up into P2 goes Nigel. Then Mags then dropping down behind the kick salver for the time being as we head into the bus stop chicane to finish off lap 10 then. Any pit stoppers? Nobody pitting then just yet. Then it looks like then for the top 3, Gordo is staying out as well then, as is Gamer then, as is MHD. Yes, he is then, and Jay Hings then waiting in the wings then, flying through then with some DRS as well then on the Red Bull. Blimey. That's right, we're almost halfway through. Mr. Elite's got a penalty then, unfortunately, then on the hard compound tyres. 300p then is passing Justified. No, he's not. Justified's in the pit lane, that is why. As is Kydell, they've done 10 laps on the soft compound tyres, which I think is a bit long. Archer's left the session, and goodness me, then Archer's got some sort of issues then, so he's lagged out then, has the Mercedes driver then. Unfortunately, Mags has got himself back past Nigel into Lecom. Jay Hings has split the Red Bulls then into P6 for Jay Hings, then passing MHD then into P6 now. MHD down to P7 then. Kian then is still in the race then, but Archer then is having a few technical difficulties then, and unfortunately that's going to be very costly indeed then for the Mercedes driver. Into the pits comes Kydell then. Vessier then has passed Farf then up into P12 now for the Ferrari then. Archer's joined back, good stuff indeed then. Mr. Elite has passed Miranov as well then, I think, on those hard compound tyres. Only 3 drivers on the hard compound tyres, everybody else on the mediums then as it stands in, with the top 7 yet to pit in this Grand Prix as it stands, or top 7 including Reflection in P10 as well then. So 8 people yet to pit in this Grand Prix as it stands. So good stuff. Right then, Nigel is next to put the pressure on Mags for that P2 position again. Then these two swapping places. Then they've lost out quite a lot of time to Mumford, who's storming off in the distance. And is the Alpine driver absolutely flying through Blanchimont now onto the halfway point of this Grand Prix. Is he going to come in the pit lane though? Is the question now or later? Then is the question. As we're going to try and sort out the strategies here. The top 7, like I said, yet to pit then from the medium compound tyres that they started the Grand Prix on. So they will have to make a stop then if it stays dry. I'm sure it will stay dry because we've been told it's going to be staying dry. I? But we never know with Codemasters, to be fair, so there we are. Jay Hings then holding on to that P6 position, then MHD trying to power on through, then Kian, sorry, in the background is the first man who has pitted then onto a fresh set of medium compound tyres. Arsha is back in the car, but he's lost 3 seconds to Kian. Sweet Repeat and Reflection switching places, then Reflection into the pit, calling it a day on the medium compound tyres. He's going to have to do 10 laps then on whatever tyre he chooses next then, and it is going to be soft compound tyres as well, then goodness me. Nigel's got himself back up into P2 then, or P2 on track that is, as MHD and Jay Hings then switching places then into the Lecom chicane as well. Once again then, Jay Hings has dropped behind the Red Bull of MHD, then they've got Kian 2 seconds behind now on this fresher medium compound tyres by 8 laps as well as it stands, and so far so good. Then Farf is trying to get himself back past Vessia, then into the Lecom chicane, then he's gone into the back of the Ferrari then, and unfortunately that's not going to work very well. Morano can't get himself back past Mr. Elite, then Morano picks up a penalty for his troubles as well. Then Kamara and Reflection switching places, then Kamara is on much older medium compound tyres, so I'm not quite sure Reflection is going to be too happy about that. He's on the soft compound trying to get to the end of the Grand Prix from here, and maybe some team orders to be coming into play then very soon for the Williams team. Then Morano has passed Mr. Elite then into the corner of No Name, and oh my goodness me, I thought he was going to go down the hill into side by side through into Prion, but not quite then, thankfully, avoiding any mishaps into that very long left-hander, then a very difficult left-hander at very high speed. If you're going to go side by side, you must get it absolutely pinpoint right as well then for both drivers, and thankfully they thought better of it. Then Reflection has passed his teammate of Kamara Racer down the back of the field then on the soft compound tyres, the only man on the softs as it stands. But here comes Nigel into the pit lane now, calling it a day on the medium compound tyres, as is Gamer as well then. So Gamer then at his Belgian Grand Prix, at his home Grand Prix, both the Red Bulls are double stacking here. MHD, this is going to be a disaster for him as we go onto the soft compound tyres then, where is MHD is being held up by his teammate very slightly then, and they're going to be very slow to service the car then, unfortunately. We're back underway now for the other Red Bull car as well. Then out of the pit lane, where are they going to be in respect to Farf and Vess here then? No, it's Sweet P then, sorry. As we go down the hill then, Nigel's up in P7 then, and he's got himself a just a bit of a buffer then, but I think Sweet P with the extra speed then through the first turn is going to get himself within DRS range. Vessia then up in P9, then Farf P10, then Gamers come out in P11, then behind Farf, behind Vessia, behind Sweet P. That Nigel is miles ahead of the 3 of them as we head into Lecom once again then, and yeah, unfortunately that's not worked out very well for Gamer then, unfortunately at this stage in terms of the pit stop phase, that is. Mr. Elite then is up into P12, passing Maranov once again. Then these two in a bit of a battle then in this next stint then, it looks like, as we get ourselves through lap 13 now as well. Then R2B has come out then in P14, and MHD, sorry, has come out in P15 then of those, that double stack then really didn't help him at all then, unfortunately then for MHD, as we go through into the next part of the circuit, then into the corner of No Name then for MHD as well, then flying through. Then Reflection on the soft compound tyres is going to have a bit of his work cut out then, I think, towards the end of the Grand Prix, and potentially we'll have to hope that he can get himself in DRS range to save his tyre life, to save some fuel, save some ERS then as well for later on in this Grand Prix when his tyres are starting to fall off the cliff. But so far, everyone's doing a pretty good job of keeping everything on the cliff as it stands, which is fantastic to see. And we've got some pit stop action for the race leaders then. Mumford into the pits then. Mags takes the lead, he stays out then, does the Haas driver then. Gordo also in the pit lane now as well. And Kian then is going to go back up into P2 then. Where is Mumford going to be in respect to the kick Sauber though? We'll have to find out then. Into the pits comes Jay Hings. No, that's Gordo behind us, sorry. That's Gordo coming into the pit lane then for his new set of soft compound tyres. Mumford then coming out the pit lane then. It's going to be in close contention then with Nigel. Then Nigel has come out the pits as well. 1 lap ago, that is. But of course, Nigel was in the battle with Mumford as we go down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Then it's going to be DRS for the kick Sauber. Then as we go up the hill now, and that is pretty good stuff indeed. I think Nigel then did get himself a bit of an undercut there, because they were already 2 seconds behind the Alpine as we head down towards the Kemmel Straight here, as we head down the Kemmel Straight towards Lacombe, I should say. And Nigel has got himself ahead then of Mumford as well. Then brilliant stuff indeed. Then Game has got himself past Swim P, then into Lecombe as well. Then the Red Bull up into P7 now, and MHD, Mr. Elite and Maranov. There's all sorts of action. There's a Ferrari off the circuit there. Oh goodness me, R2B's trying to squeeze through. And he has squeezed through. Brilliant stuff indeed. Then I think Moranov might have had some issues there. It doesn't look. I don't think he's got any wing damage as it stands. It doesn't look like it's too serious. Favre then has passed Vessia then into Pouillon now on the hard compound tyres. So hard compound tyres still working very nicely for the Racing Bull, even though the mediums I think would probably be the better tyre at this stage. Then as the tyres are 3 laps younger, sorry, for Vessia as well. Then as we head through into sector 3, then now Nigel and Mumford are going to be in a fight here. Mags needs to pit, then so does Jay Hings as well, then who are further along, then P1 and P4 respectively. Then Kian and Arsha are going to retake P1 and P2 respectively as well. Then Arsha has brought that gap down from over 3 seconds then when he lagged out then to under 2 seconds now. Mags in the pit lane here. Kian will leave the race soon. Not happened yet, says Mushroom. That's not very nice. Right, into the box then for Mags then from the previous race lead, but of course not the net race lead. Soft compound tyres going on the Haas then as the same, I think, for Jay Hings, and they will be pretty quick to the end of this Grand Prix because they're going to have the freshest tyres on the grid. Then they're going to drop down in this phase, but of course powering out now. Mags has been passed by Vessia, then he's on the soft compound tyres. Gordo soft compound tyres up into P10. Then where is Jay Hings? Jay Hings P14. P15 I should say, but of course now onto the freshest tyres on the field. Then Mumford has passed Nigel for P3. Mumford into the podium places, needs to try and get that gap or try and maximise his points in this race. And of course with Ultimate Beast's championship rival not racing here tonight, he is looking to try and maximise his points haul in as we head into the second half of the season, into the second half of the Grand Prix already. Then as unfortunately Kamari's got a 10-second penalty for crossing the line on the pit exit. Then we can review that after the Grand Prix if you have the footage, but there we are then. RTB's got himself passed into P12. Then Jay Hings has passed Moranov then into P14 now, chasing down Mr. Elite then on the soft compound, Jay Hings on the soft compound tyres chasing down Mr. Elite, and R2 as well then as he tries to get himself into contention for the top 10. Then Gordo has done a great job, then he's on the back of Mags as we go through into sector 3 then very shortly, and there's quite a pack then forming behind Sweet P then in P6 here, and unfortunately there's quite a few drivers who are going to be getting a bit impatient I think then behind the Alpine. Farf as well, so that's going to be disastrous because that's Farf. And there we go then as we head through into Blanchemont. Then Mags then using a bit of the ELRS, then he's got himself past Vessia up into P8 now. Gordon going to try and get himself past the Ferrari as well. Then goodness me, there's all sorts of action into the bus stop chicane. Then the Haas has gone through. Then there's contact between the Racing Bull and Gordo, and yeah, that's exactly why the desperation is not good. Let's just put it that way. Then as we head into the last source chicane, or hairpin I should say. Goodness me, I'm getting me chicanes and me hairpins mixed up. Then, but there we are. Then Mr. Elite's been passed by Jay Hings. Has he? Oh my God! Then Mr. Elite then very desperately diving down the inside. It looked like there, but that was just the angle I think we got as we headed through the last source hairpin as well. Then up into P13 now for Jay Hings then on the soft compound tyres, and now chasing down R2 is his next target. Then out in front then Max has got himself past Sweet then into P6 now. Of course these two have penalties then to be added to their race names at the end of the Grand Prix, then added to their race times at the end of the Grand Prix I should say. Vessia now trying to go down the inside of Farf then into the right hand, and then there's not enough space there left then I don't think, and Vessia, oh goodness me, he's had a snap and he's got himself on the curb. And Gordo has gone flying through then on the soft compound tyres. Goodness me, that was pretty quick indeed from the Aston Martin. Very quick reflexes then from Gordo then as we head through into Pouillon now, all over the back then of Farf, who's on the hard compound tyres, much older hard compound tyres compared to Gordo's much fresher soft compound tyre as well. Then I think it's going to be not much of a contest then for Farf then, unfortunately, then as he goes through into sector 3 very shortly as well. Then out in front, the gap now under a second between Arsha and the race leader of Kian then, so these two are going to be in a fight then for the race lead very shortly. Unfortunately for Mumford then it's not worked out then, he's now at 5.8 seconds behind the top two, as it seems, as it unfortunately is not working out in his favour as it stands then, but he's got the fresher tyres. Then can he get himself some extra pace in the next few parts of this race? Then goodness me, Gordo is off the circuit then at Blanchemont then, not quite sure where he was going there, but nonetheless he's back on. So he's back underway, and good stuff indeed then. Right, I only did a few laps. There's Mushroom then. Mushroom, you are seriously sweaty at Belgium, says Luke. Oh, brilliant stuff indeed. Right, then we'll have to look forward to that. Of course, tomorrow is bronze here tonight. Here tomorrow in Belgium as well. So there's going to be plenty more action. I can't keep up. I'm trying to promote bronze, but we can't keep up because Arsha's taken the Grand Prix lead then from Kian into Lecom. Nigel as P4, then Gamer P5, then Mags P6, then Swift P7, sorry, but he's going to be passed by Gordo very shortly as we head down the Camel Straight then, and here comes Farf as well, then trying to stick his nose in at where it doesn't want to belong, but he's got himself through then up into P8 as well, then passing the Alpine of Sweet and P, then Vessia P10 then as it stands, and just inside the top 10 then we've got MHD and J Hings closing in on them as well, then R2 Beat's been passed by the Aston Martin, then up into P12 for J Hings, then P13 for R2 Beat as it stands here as well then. My goodness me, it's been a frantic Grand Prix so far then in this 17 laps that we've had then. We've been flying through the laps as well then. My goodness, like I said, I can't keep up then. So I'm not so good in the race, says Serious Mushroom. Not so good, you'll be top 3, says brilliant stuff indeed. Right, we're already getting competitive then for bronze tomorrow night then. So yes, like I said, now I've got a bit of a lull. I can say, yeah, of course, look forward to bronze tomorrow night, commentated by a wonderful Ginger Rage as well. And it'll be very epic indeed once again then from bronze, hopefully, as they usually put on a good show as well then. So yes, like I said, Gold has put on a good show last night. Silver putting on a cracking show tonight here as well. And I think bronze then is going to have some tasks to try and beat the standard then from both Gold and from Silver as well. Then it's been absolutely cracking this round for the first 2 divisions as it stands so far. We've still got 4 laps to go, so I don't want to jinx it, but there we go. Heading up the hill now, can Kian take back the lead then from Arsha, then down the Camel Straight once again. There's going to be some DRS then for the Kick Sauber machine. I nearly called it the Kick Alpine again then, but there we go. Then heading down the Camel Straight, here comes Kian, then opening the door. Not quite. Then he stays behind for the time being. Then back in the pack. Then unfortunately with Nigel, he's dropped off the Alpine of Mumford. Then he can't compete then for the podium as it stands at this point, I should say. Sweet P trying to get himself past Farf. Then there's 3 wide heading into the Lecom. Then this is going to be horrible stuff indeed. Then thankfully the Ferrari squeezed through. Sweet MGP picks up a penalty then, goodness me, and Farf then pushing him through Lecom once again. And now MHD has gone for a dive bomb then on the Racing Bull, goodness me then. Oh my, it's getting very feisty out there on lap 18. My goodness me, I thought Farf was going to go for a lunge there as well then on the Alpine, but thought better of it, I think then. Goodness, I've got yellow flags for, what's that? It's for I think it was for potentially Justify then, I'm not quite sure. Somebody had a problem there, but they've got themselves sorted quickly enough. Good stuff indeed then. The gap coming down now between the top 2 and Mumford then, it was 5.8 seconds, it's now 4.6. I don't think he's got enough time at this pace then to get himself caught up to the top 2 and get himself in the fight then. Mr. Lee picked up a 3-second penalty then going through into Pouillon now, and unfortunately that is another penalty then for the McLaren driver then in this race. Lap 18 becomes lap 19 very shortly. Mumford then trying to get the power down very quickly out of the bus stop chicane. 4.5 seconds the gap then, 4.6 seconds now, but there we are. Into the bus stop chicane, goodness me, Farf and Sweet MJP are battling side by side. Yellow flags for McLaren, it's Mr. Elite. Mr. Elite's had an awful problem then somewhere out of sector 3. Goodness me, there's an end plate missing on the McLaren, unfortunately for him as well then, but unfortunately hopefully he can get himself into the box then to sort that front wing out then in the next lap or 2 and potentially go for the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, which will still be awarded to him if he finishes the Grand Prix as well. Then the fastest lap will go to whoever finishes the race with the fastest lap point, and whichever position as well then, so long as you finish the Grand Prix in your car itself. Then don't DNF, don't pit and quit, or don't just disconnect then from the Grand Prix as well then. So that's that. Right then, into Lecom. Oh my goodness me then, and Farf I thought was going to get sandwiched there, but thankfully not then. Sweet Andrew P back up into P9. MHD's retired, and MHD's, where's he gone? What's happened to MHD? He's just gone off the circuit there somewhere. Right then, brilliant stuff indeed. Well, that's a safety car being released then. Mr. Elite is trundling down the pit lane now, but we're only going to have 1 lap of safety car, I think, because the safety car is going to be catching the leaders very quickly, and then that'll be that then. So it's probably not even worth pitting, even if you're on old tyres at this point. Not quite sure what happened there, but nonetheless, MHD has paid to this race then with a safety car for 1 lap then, as it will only be out for lap 20, and then it'll be into the pits once again. And we'll have a 2-lap sprint to the finish then, pretty much. So regardless of whether everyone's caught up or not, well, it's a very long lap indeed. Arsha's coming in the pit lane then. That is a mistake in my eyes. We'll have to correct myself if I'm wrong, but it is a mistake in my eyes. But there we go. Kian takes the lead of the Grand Prix. Then MHD has left the session. Then, unfortunately for MHD, having a bit of a problem then at the Lecombe chicane. Mumford then up into P2. Then Arsha. Well, Nigel's in the pits as well. Then goodness me, why are they pitting? Yeah, it's not going to work out very well if you're pitting, I think, at this stage of the Grand Prix, because we're only going to have 2 laps of racing to the end of the race. Vess here then is going to take the positions away, then as is Farf, then who's staying out as well, then as we go through into La Source for the Ferrari, then up into P4 now, and Farf up into P5, then Jay Hings then stays out in P6 now as well here. Nigel then dropping down, or I don't know why they've decided, especially those on the soft compound tyres, why have they decided to pit in this Grand Prix? Absolutely horrible idea, but there we are. So that's that then. Yes, we just need to hope that they can catch up then. Safety car, there's no delta I don't think anymore, because the safety car has been caught by the race leaders now, but everybody else, unfortunately Mr. Elite then, he's not going to be able to catch up to the safety car at this rate, because it's going to be in at the end of this lap then, and he better not pit, because otherwise he's going to be in big trouble. Thankfully he doesn't pit then, which is good stuff. But Kamara Racers in the pit lane, unfortunately I'm not quite sure why are people pitting. That is the problem that they're going to be facing later on in this race then, when the safety car comes in at the end of this lap. So there we go. Right then, I think, to be fair, I think actually both McLarens could catch up at this rate, because the long lap then around here is going to be very useful now. If you are so far back then that the safety car is going to be trundling through sector 2 then, and they're going to be just catching up to the Lecombe chicane now. Driver of the day vote is out in the comment section. Mumford, Nigel, Gordo and Farf then are your candidates. Then let's have a look at that. Let's have a look at the position changes then. We've got Mumford up 2 places then, could be challenging for the race win here tonight then, with the safety car due to come in then very shortly. Where is Vess here? Then Vess here up here, oh no, not Vess here, sorry, Vess is up 11 places, then Farv up 15 places, and Jay Hings up 12 places. Nigel then is hold station then onto a fresh set of soft combat tyres. Gamers up 8 places, Mags down a place. Gordo's up 9 places as well then from the back of the field. Then safety car in this lap then. Now it depends on how quickly the race leader wants to restart this Grand Prix. If he is going to be in trouble then from the McLarens then, as we get ourselves ready to get going once again, then the safety car has to get himself into the pit lane before the race leader can resume the Grand Prix as well. So here we are then. We've got the position changes then. We'll have a quick look at the tyres once again then, because there's going to be a bit of a difference in tyre compounds here, I think, then as well. Then Arsha's in a good position here, because he's on fresh soft compound tyres, and those who chose to pit behind him I think made a bit of a mistake as well then, not being able to capitalise then and get themselves into the podium places. Then around the bus stop chicane we go then, and Arsha's very keen to get going as well then, but goodness me then, as we get ourselves restarted here, and Arsha then is already going to go for P2 then as we go into La Source. It looks like a great restart then. Oh my, no, we've got all sorts of lag then. It looks like brilliant stuff indeed. And through La Source we go then. Arsha has got himself up and under then into P2, then down the hill we go then towards Eau Rouge. There's all sorts of connection issues here, which is fantastic. Serenity P has got himself past Vanquish, I think, on the fresh soft compound tyres as well then for the Alpine, then trying to get himself into the top 10 as it stands. Then there's all sorts of action then behind us. We've got all sorts of action here behind, because we've got all sorts of action behind. All sorts of action on soft compound tyres, old hard compound tyres. There's squeeze in from Farf, then he's gone late on the brakes and into Lecombe as well. Then there's contact between himself and Jay Higgs then as we go through into the chicane as well then, and Farf then I think caused all of that, because he was just trying to be bullish then through the chicane as well. Then the Aston Martin of Gordo's gone through then up into P9 on the fresh soft compound tyres, and they're far from the old hard compound tyres. That was how much of a contest there, and he's got a penalty for his troubles as well. And then nonetheless then Arsha's got himself up into P2 then, challenging for the race lead. Lap 21 then, the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. There's going to be one more lap of racing. There's going to be some DRS then down the Kemmel Straight as well then on the final lap of the Grand Prix here. Swin P's got himself past Jay Hings then. Fresh soft compound tyres coming into the factor now as well. Of course, the lap is so long that the freshness of tyre is really important as well. Much more important, I suppose you could say, than the previous circuits. Then off the circuit goes Nigel himself. Then he's having an issue. Then Nigel's back on then, but he's lost out to Max. He's lost out to Gordo. Could he lose out to X-Gamer as well? Then through into Planchamont here on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. Round the outside goes the Red Bull. He's got the move, I think. Has he? No, he hasn't. Not yet, but into the bus stop chicane. He's got the inside line. And now down the inside, we've got the outside for the next turn. There's ghosting going on there, but okay. I think Nigel's got himself back up into P8. Sorry, good stuff indeed. Reflection passing Maranov then as well then for P13. Down the order, Justify has got himself past Kydell. Then he's on the older tyres as well. Then we've got issues then for Nigel. Then he's ghosting here as well. Then once again, then into La Source, and all sorts of anarchy then going through into the final part of the circuit, final part of the race. And as Gordo and Gamer have come together then into the up the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion then, and both of them dropping down the order. Then both of them out of the not out of the points then for X Game actually. So goodness me, not quite sure what happened there. Mags has passed far for P5 then on track. As it stands, then goodness me, then there's all sorts of action then out in front. Arsha has got himself the race lead. I've missed it completely, but Arsha then is up into P1, then back up into P1, I should say, on the fresh soft front pan tyres. Mumford then is in P3. Trying to challenge Kian then for that P2 position, then Vessia P4. As it stands, then Mags, Farf and Sweet P have penalties, then Nigel could be promoted up 3 places if he just stays status quo. Then same for Jay Hings, same for Gamer as well. Then R2B could be in contention with some points as well then in this race as he goes through. It's a pity for medium compound tyres, so I'm not quite sure what the strategy was there from the Ferrari pit wall, but there we are then as we go through into sector 3 then for the final time. Then 1.2 seconds is the gap then between the race leaders as Arsha has kicked on ahead, then he's stormed off ahead. Then here comes Mumford on the charge then for P2. Then can he get himself up into P2? It will really help his championship charge as we head through into Blanchimont for the final time here. We'll come back to Mumford because here comes Arsha then to win his first Grand Prix. Then as he takes to the bus stop chicane for the final time. Then there's all sorts of action in the back of the field, but here comes Arsha then to claim the victory here in Belgium. Brilliant stuff indeed. He sets the fastest lap on the final lap as well. Then Kian crosses the line P2, Mumford P3, Vessia P4, Nigel in P5, Jay Hings P6, Gamer P7, Mags P8, then R2B P9, Vanquish P10, Sweet P11, then Morano P12, Gordo P13, and some other people down the order as well then. But my goodness me then, what an epic Belgian Grand Prix that has been tonight then. Fantastic stuff indeed then from all drivers who got themselves to the checkered flag. Jay Hings in the Aston Martin then has been sponsored by Mercedes there as well. Brilliant stuff indeed. Get your final votes in for the drive of the day then, and we can get ourselves the final votes then for the for a fantastic race as well then. Blimey, there's a Mercedes, there's a Kick Alpine, a Kick Sauber, sorry, and an Alpine on the podium here as well then. Brilliant stuff indeed from tonight's race then. Fantastic from all drivers then, who've put on a fantastic show indeed as well then, right to the checkered flag. And unfortunately we had a bit more chaos then added in at the checkered flag, or before the checkered flag, then 2 laps before the checkered flag with a safety car then on the penultimate lap. Then the last lap a safety car can come out then, literally, as there we are then. There is your classification then. Arsha then in P1, then Kian P2, Mumford P3, Vessia P4, Nigel in P5, Jay Hings P6, and Gamer in P7, Mags in P8, then R2B in P9, Vanquish rounds off the top 10 here as well. Then 300P in P11, then Moranov P12, Gordo in P13, Justify P14, Farf in P15, Kydell P16, Reflection P17, Mr. Elite in P18, Kamara Racer in P19 as well. Then, and unfortunately, our only retirement, then the one who caused the safety car was MHD, then who went from pole position then all the way to the back of the field in the end there. Fantastic stuff indeed then. We'll start off with Arsha then, our race winner then here tonight then. Brilliant stuff indeed from yourself then. Your first ALR race, I believe, and you got yourself a first ALR win.
Hello, I am Arsha. Nice to meet you. Actually, as a first race in ALR, I think it was a very good race for me, and I'm very happy to be between you.
And did you think you had a great battle then for the race lead then with Kian and with Mumford as well? Then did you have the race under control?
Yes, actually, it was a tough race for me. Actually, Mehdi, the player who got pole position, and Kian and Mehran, and all of us are from Iran and each other. And I knew that I had a difficult race, and especially do you see that in the moment I lost my connection and I lose more than 3 seconds, and for that reason I had to push so hard to fill that gap between me and Kian, and fortunately I managed to fill that gap. And at the end of the race, I think safety car wasn't good for me because I completely controlled the race and I can actually win the race easily. But when the safety car come, I was in a dilemma because I'm not sure about safety. Actually, change my tire and get soft tires. But fortunately, I think it was a good decision because not only I managed to get win, and also I got fastest lap, I think.
You did very well done indeed. Then fantastic race indeed, race win and fastest lap then for the Mercedes team as well. Then I'm not sure if anybody else has joined us, to be honest. Oh yeah, we have got everybody here. Brilliant stuff indeed. Right then, so thank you very much to Arsha. Then a fantastic race win on your first reserve appearance then for ALR as well. Then hopefully we'll see you back very soon for some more racing because that was pretty good. So well done indeed.
Thank you so much. I hope to see you soon, and I hope to be a part of ALR in the future.
Fantastic. Thank you very much as well. Mumford then in P2, P3 in the end then, has joined us as well then, I think. Mumford then a bit of a difficult race then that for yourself then. It seemed like there was quite a lot of battling going on with Nigel and Mags then in the first stint on the medium compound tyres. And then in the soft stint then it was just trying to get your pace back then to try and catch up to the top two there.
Yeah, I mean, when we were on the mediums at the start, I was just we were fighting a bit too much, and the two guys on the softs in front kind of got in front. I think the gap was like 4 seconds, and we were pulling them back in, but then they just undercut us, and I think by the time I come back out on the softs, the gap was like 8 seconds with 8 laps, and that's just not really that possible, to be honest.
Well, you still did a fantastic job. You got yourself another podium then, and again, of course, with Ultimate Beast not racing, then that's 15 points gained then back in the championship. Then I think, were you looking for more then tonight, or were you just trying to hold on in some of these situations tonight as well?
Yeah, I mean, it was just about trying to beat everyone in the silver grid for me, to be honest. I think Beast is a bit too far in front now. I think it's 70, 75, something like that. It's just about keeping the gap to third place nice and big, to be honest, and just making sure I get that second place.
Well, it looks pretty good indeed, and with the pace that you got, then good to see you back as well after your 2 weeks off as well. Yeah, good to see a couple of returning faces as well after their holidays. But what have you got then for Netherlands next week? Then is it confident track for yourself, or is it something that you need to work on before the next week?
Usually it's one I'm pretty good at. I feel like I'm confident in almost every circuit on the game. I don't think I have a bad one, so yeah.
That's all right then. Pretty good stuff. Well, fantastic stuff indeed. And unfortunately, I don't think Kian has joined us then for the interviews then. But well done to Kian as well. Then P2. Well done to Mumford. Then P3 tonight. Then in the Alpine as well. Then brilliant stuff indeed from the podium drivers and of course from all drivers who finished the Grand Prix tonight. An absolutely epic race indeed. Then we've got bronze tomorrow night here in Belgium as well. Then looking forward to seeing what the bronze beasts are going to be up to then here in Spa-Francorchamps before we head to Netherlands as well. Then as a preview then for the 100% League on Wednesday night as well. So stay tuned to ALR. There's plenty more action coming up then, and we'll see you very soon.